Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Assalamu alaikum. I'm Fereeha Idrees and you're watching my new video on my YouTube channel. I'm joined by Dr. Maria Sultan. She's Director General from South Asia Strategic Stability. Thank you so much, Dr. Maria, for joining us on this day.
It's always a pleasure.
As we know, Pakistan is celebrating Kashmir Solidarity Day. Today, we tell the world that we are standing with our Kashmiri brothers and sisters in their right to self-determination. Maria, let's take at the larger picture. And I know your organization has also taken out a magazine, SSR. I've had the honor of being a part of it, which I am very grateful for. Hindutva Peoples War, you're calling it. And this is the Sasi Security Review. You can see the cover. What are we trying to say with this cover? Taj Mahal is burning. Are we saying that all the heritage that India has had over the years, all the things that Indians are rightfully proud of, they're now at a danger to be burned because of this policy of Hindutva?
Every nation passes through a long string of events in history, which defines who they are, what they are, and what they will be. And the Indian subcontinent has been home to two big nations, the Muslims and the Hindus. But combined, it was the Indian subcontinent. So although we had our differences under the British Raj and we emerged as two different states, but we did celebrate our history, which included almost 1400 years of Muslim rule in India, and that also left a big imprint on culture, heritage.
And this at the same is what time, Indian constitution said, that we're a secular country, everybody will have a right to exist.
But after what happened on two accounts, we were forced to take out this issue in Sasi Security Review, which looks at regional security situations. One, the Supreme Court of India said that it will undo the stay order on Ayodhya.
Yes.
And that it needs to be removed.
And the magazine talks about it. There's an article by a top lawyer in Pakistan who talks about how justice has been mocked by this decision.
Yes, because you know the kind of evidence which was presented to the Indian Supreme Court cannot be admissible in any court of law anywhere in the world.
And is this the first time that we had a DT Ram actually going to the court? I know, no offense to anybody's religious sentiments, but while Indian constitution says that it's a secular country where religion has no part in its politics, how can the Supreme Court, the biggest court of the country, entertain a case where there is a deity going there and talking on behalf of the people?
Fareeha, the question is not the deity going there, okay, you know, that's an exhibit A from them. But what is unacceptable is that on the basis of mythology alone, you're going to take it as credible evidence to not see what is going to happen to people as a result of that and their rights being infringed upon. The cover, therefore, starts with Ayodhya, and then we see in flames demolishing the Red Fort and the Taj Mahal.
Which actually happened. Let us tell the viewers that when this was being done, nobody knew what was going to happen in Punjab. The Sikh farmer movement hadn't even started. There was no evidence that it will start. We did not know what will happen in Red Fort. But what you had foreseen almost a year ago, we saw a replica of this happening now. Now, this is not Simpson cartoon, but this actually happened. So what you were doing through this cover was actually warning the world, and the warning is still there, that is method to the madness of Modi government that we're seeing at the moment. And the Ayodhya decision was one of the landmarks that
it's going to undo India in the sense that
India,
because you see, because once you start with this, then it will end with Taj Mahal's destruction and almost thousands
Taj Mahal here is the symbol of Muslim heritage or
Muslim heritage, world peace, a symbol of love. And a symbol of love, coexistence. And then if you're going to undo every historical evidence, this is something similar to what ISIS did in terms of destroying every cultural heritage.
So Babri Mosque was the first casualty. Then we saw that in the pamphlets that were there in Agra about heritage of the city, they did not include Taj Mahal. And that was a sign of times to come, as you rightly said. And then now we can see that Taj Mahal is the symbol, but it's actually the heritage, it's actually the minorities of India that are suffering.
How are you going to undo 1400 years of history? So what they have done in Kashmir, they have actually said on 5th of August 2019 that we do not recognize the right of the Kashmiris to be Muslims and Kashmiris in Kashmir, henceforth scheduled classes, henceforth their right to existence, henceforth their rights to common civility and common liberty will remain challenged unless until they prove their allegiance and their right to be in the Indian state. And that basically means what they're asking is impossible.
So what looked like the culmination of the dangerous plan was actually start of a much more dangerous plan that India is now seeing. And as you've rightly said, that India is being undone, it's being rewritten, the history is being written. We saw it through Bollywood. They made a number of movies which were trying to rewrite history, trying to negate what Muslims have done for this continent, subcontinent. Plus, let's take a look at this magazine. You're talking about a troika. So we've talked about judiciary, where we saw the Ayodhya verdict, but then there's media, which is now being called as Godi media. This is the term we discussed in the magazine. And media is in synced with Modi's and BJP's very extremist policies, and they seem to push them through an agenda. We have an example of Arnab Goswami. Again, the leaked chart issue has emerged now, but we've kind of foreseen this because Arnab Goswami is the person who was in jail for some time, and I think most of the Pakistanis would like to see him in jail all his life because of the extreme hatred that he spews on his show day in, day out against Pakistan. But it's just not Arnab Goswami. He pressurizes the other anchors to follow the same league and to keep on spitting venom against not just Pakistan, but even China or any neighboring country. So the troika is judiciary, media, and then the parliament, because we see that there are no Muslim, there's literally no Muslim representation in the parliament.
And what's worst is that the BJP, the leading government, has not even given a single ticket to a Muslim.
Yes, and that has reflected upon Congress sadly as well.
And what's the worst part is that it is not something which is just limited to the parliament, the judiciary and the media. It is now also very visibly evident in the Indian military. So if you're going to have a military which is not going to be representative of the people, you're not going to give people any political rights, economic rights, religious rights. So what are these people supposed to do? Live in 2 by 4 kilometers areas,
in ghettos.
And
like
ghettos.
I remember when I was in United Kingdom, there was a study being done on the minorities, and Trevor Phillip, I think if I remember the name correctly, he warned that it seems like England has communities that are living in ghettos. You need to make them amalgamate with the other communities. We saw that in France also, and the repercussions are coming now. And now we're seeing this happening in India, like in Nazi regime.
Faria, there's a problem. The problem is this, that in Europe, you always had minorities as minorities.
Oh, yes.
But what we are calling as minorities are not, in fact, minorities. If you would have taken any other countries, any other consensus, there could have been equally independent states.
Yes.
You have got Muslims in India, which are more than the some total population of Pakistan. You've got Sikhs in India, which outnumber any other state in India in terms of an economically empowered group and economically, geographically co-located group.
Europe, we also have Lord Nazir Ahmed writing in this issue of SSI. He says the dangerous Hindutva ideology. He said something very interesting, and I know Lord Nazir Ahmed has repeatedly spoken for Kashmir, has repeatedly raised his voice against Hindutva. He said that India actually has 2 faces. There was this one face, which is the glamorous Bollywood face that he shows to the world, that India shows to the world, but that's not the real face. The second face is the real face, the one that you're talking about, where there's suppression of minorities, where there's a huge number of poor people sleeping on the streets. There is so much suppression and so much suppression of dissent or any voice that stands up against authority is stifled. We saw this being implemented through police, like you've just mentioned that there's no Muslim representation in the parliament.
Delhi riots.
Literally, the Delhi riots was such an example. But what we're also seeing, Maria, and we tried to reflect this through this magazine, that while on one hand it seems like utter madness, all the steps that you've mentioned, it seems like utter madness, it seems like an act of violence like Gujarat riots or Delhi riots, or it seems like something that just happened in chaos, not planned. But when you connect the dots and you see what was happening by this bigotry, by this hatred, it was actually planned, and it just does not seem to end. Like if the people were made to leave their homes in Gujarat, there were other people who were coming to take over, and these were not Muslims or of the same religion. These were Then, like we talk about white supremacists, these were the upper caste Hindus who were then taking over, and it just goes on and on. So it seems like there's a design. If you're removing or you're going towards genocide of a community, you really believe that the right to exist or the right to live in India only belongs to Hindus. And that's a popular ideology to some. That's why it's even more dangerous than it sounds. And it seems like there's no end. So when the Prime Minister says that we have a Hitler in our neighborhood, it's not exaggeration. It's not a political statement.
You see, the problem is just that when you come up with such rapid, radicalized ideas, where you're going to systematically disempower people economically, politically, and militarily, and give them no space to exist as human beings.
Yes. So then there will be repercussions.
No, not only will there be repercussions, there will be two problems. One, there will be domestic repercussions, which we are witnessing, but the Indian state seems unhinged. They are not conceding. No, they're not conceding to the Sikhs. They are not conceding to the Muslims.
Will this?
No, they will not concede. They will not concede because the economic disempowerment is a necessity for the rise of Hindutva. In order for the people who were aligning with Hindutva, they were to reap the benefits from it.
So while we see many people who are upset, who are angry, there are many more who are benefiting or reaping the those benefits.
And who are these people? These are the people who are the scheduled classes. These are the people who
are...
And
the target market for
yes.
Modi.
So these are the people who believe for the first time Hindu is the true, the Hindu God-sent leader is Modi, and he's going to deliver for them, one. Number two, the problem will begin once they start exporting this ideology to the region, because they will have to fight wars.
And he uses political ideology. He uses political symbolism.
They're unapologetic. They're unapologetic.
So
and unfortunately,
it
will be
selling to India. It's selling to a large part of India.
It's converting India into a people's war, which will not be undone. It's bringing structural violence.
But is it selling to the world?
It is selling to the world because they're trying to show they're in control. So despite Delhi riots, despite you saw Muslim neighborhoods being attacked, you saw police standing by because according to the military policy, now village defense committees will be aiding these right wings. There are increased lynching cases.
So let's think about the coming generation of India. What are you planning for them? Let's quickly go through this. We also have Kashmir lockdown timeline here. Obviously, it is the longest lockdown in the world, and political map of Pakistan, which was unveiled by the Prime Minister, that is also there. Vicious cycle of hatred is a story of a person who was affected by Delhi riots. Very
powerful story,
very powerful, very tearful. Then we also talk about the other regional issues, like there's a story about the Afghan endgame, and then you, in your cover story, you talk about the future of the region.
I'm talking about what will happen that once you bring this Hindutva to the region. Once you try to take adventurism across the borders, so once you do Balakot again,
it will
be wars
to be taken lightly.
No.
The world has to be warned against it. It seems like it's an emerging giant, and
people took Hitler too non-seriously, and the result was that the world saw the World War II. If you do not see what's happening in the region, the fact that a fascist, racist, and religiously motivated Hindutva led by Modi is going to be a factor for peace and stability and development. The world and its partners need to understand that this India will not deliver for them. This India will be divisive. This India will undo thousands of years of harmony which the Muslim leaders try to bring in as a result of that.
Stark reality.
And
it's not
it
that
will
we're
be a
just sitting,
problem.
Dr. Maya and I are just sitting here and scaring you. It's not like that. It's based on strategic studies done by institution. It's based on a lot of hard work done by different people, and it's based on observation of many intellectuals. This is what we were bringing to you. Thank you, Dr. Maya.
Thank you so much, Fereeha.
Do give me feedback, or you can give feedback in the comment section, or you can reach out to SASI on its website and have a look at SSR and do give us your feedback. Take care of yourself. Allah Hafiz.